I think that's the plan. I mean, the way totalitarian regimes often work is they implement laws that everyone is going to break so that they can arrest or otherwise silence anyone who they don't like for whatever other reason, because they know that everyone has broken the law at some point.
I just got a sneaking suspicion that if you ever got into the world of GTA Online, that you'd be quite a handful.
I did. I actually played on the role-playing servers before, so that was fun. Yeah, I got kicked out of the game because I didn't want to wear pink.
And here you are today wearing pink.
I know. I'm trying to get back in the gang.
Well, I'll tell you what. You could have caused some chaos after getting booted out of your server, by doing all sorts of things. But alas, GTA Online and GTA 6, there are some new guidelines that are in place to combat toxic players. And this is something that will drastically affect Grand Theft Auto moving ahead, as unfortunately, Rockstar has taken a stand against cheating, griefing, and harassment in GTA Online by implementing new community guidelines. I would also like to remind everybody that you're playing a game called Grand Theft Auto that has so much murder and death in it.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto is supposed to be toxic.
I don't know. Give it a couple months, and they're just you're going to be picking up, Uber rides. Just waiting
for real.
In your app. Yeah, yes. Driving around town, picking up groceries, delivering them.
Right, exactly. You'll be it'll be an Uber simulator.
Yeah, basically.
Right. Here's the TLDR that Rockstar Games is implementing new community guidelines for GTA Online, aiming to curb cheating, griefing, and player harassment that have plagued the game for years and made it the most popular game in history. The guidelines, divided into fair play, respect, and safety categories, outline clear rules and consequences for unacceptable behavior, including temporary account suspensions and potential reports to law enforcement.
What?
What?
Okay.
Wow.
If that's not the most ironic thing, given the source material.
Right. I got arrested for something I did in Grand Theft Auto. I love that you can now actually get arrested for something you do in Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, my goodness.
The changes come as no surprise to longtime players, as the game's design ironically contributes to the toxicity. Yes, you think? But Rockstar's efforts represent a commendable step towards making GTA Online, here it is, more welcoming and enjoyable for all, which is great. So that's where we're at now, as Grand Theft Auto is now looking to stop. Like I get the idea of stopping cheating in the game, right? Somebody's bringing that in. I get that, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the griefing is one of the most fun things you could possibly do in a video game.
Yes.
And Melanie, if you could just give a brief description of griefing to everybody, just for fun, just for those who may not be familiar with griefing.
Griefing, man, I don't even know if I'm going to define this very well, but I mean, the way I see it is just kind of trolling people and just trying to poke at them and trying to get them tilted. Trying to get them tilted. Yeah.
Right. In the new guidelines that they have, they broke it up into the 3 different areas. It says under the fair play section, Rockstar has vowed to crack down on the use of hacks, exploits, and other third-party software that gives players unfair advantage. Cool, got it. I think that's all fair, right? You want to get unlimited monies or whatever. You want to have unlimited guns or whatever. Okay, well we'll crack down on that. Griefing, the act of intentionally annoying or interfering with other players, will also warrant punishment up to and including temporary suspensions of the account. Okay.
That's no fun. I would never want to play if I couldn't do that. What's the point? It's Grand Theft Auto.
Well, also, too, it's like, Helldivers has been celebrated because people are getting into character playing their games.
Yeah.
And, I remember playing GTA 5 10 years ago on we all picked it up on PlayStation 3. We picked up a 360, but I remember playing with a buddy, and he would get in character. He made his character like Trevor, and he was just all about chaos. And he'd sit in like the back seat of a car and just pull a hand grenade and just go, "Hey, does anybody hear something? Or anybody hear that?" And then we'd all blow up and we'd have a good laugh. It's a game where you create chaos, and yet you're trying to control griefing.
Well, 100%. And this goes to a larger question, right? The griefing is the act of intentionally annoying or interfering with other players.
Mm-hmm.
Annoying is very subjective.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Where's the line for annoying? You know,
Right.
if you go up to somebody and I don't know, let's say you misgender them, is that a bigger act of violence than throwing a grenade at somebody as you go by in a car? I mean, and will you have your account temporarily suspended because of that?
I'd be much more concerned about the "we'll report you to the police" thing, especially considering Scotland's new laws. People could literally be going to jail over this.
Yeah.
Well, in the respect guidelines, and there is truth in that, Malcolm, for sure. At least it appears. It says the respect guidelines prohibit harassment, identity theft, and sharing of graphic content, with Rockstar making it clear it will not tolerate players who try to ruin the experience for others. Many would assume that adults would be the main problem, but they'd be surprised to see the number of kids in lobbies terrorizing new players. Hey, Melanie, I was just curious. Grand Theft Auto, what is that rated?
Yeah, it's very mature.
It's for mature, right? So you should be how old to play? I believe it's 18?
17, I think, for
17,
mature.
18, right?
Man,
Okay.
when I was a teenager and I would play games like RuneScape and Gunbound, I was always griefing people. That's part of the fun. You want, and these are like, very kid-friendly games, especially Gunbound. But that was just part of it. It's like you wanted to taunt people, you wanted to get them tilted, and yeah, it raised the stakes.
Well, this goes back to, it's pointed out in the chat. Where did I say? I just saw, no graphic content in Grand Theft Auto.
Oh,
Well,
It's a game about murder and hookers and
yeah.
death and gangs and violence and drugs. I'm sorry, what?
The way I see it is, Saints Row was a response to the fact that when, next gen systems hit back in that generation, there was no Grand Theft Auto yet. So Saints Row popped off as a competitor. I just see this as Rockstar setting themselves up for somebody to make their own game and in the spirit of what GTA originally was. So I kind of am a little bit white pilled on this. Like, yeah, they might drop the ball here, but I think this is just going to inspire some studio or some team of developers to create something that has all of the signatures of the early days of GTA Online, and they're going to eat Rockstar's lunch.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think that with the innovation of AI in the gaming space, it's going to make the production of games that feel AAA much, much less expensive in the next 10 years or so. And we are going to see more and more of these small studios, like we've seen with like Polyworld and Helldivers, genuinely competing with the AAA studios.
Yeah. Well, also, when you don't have to design games by committee, you can actually focus on designing the game. And I understand like crunch is a real thing in the tech sector, but I think Jason Schreier, and I can speak as somebody that has worked in the tech sector. I think it really just comes down to like, we didn't realize our deadlines snuck up and you guys are going to have to work nights and weekends. I get that it's really bad for some people, and I've been in those spaces. But I also think that when you have a smaller studio and you don't have to go through committees and bureaucracy to make a good product or the product that you want to make, you can do it with a much smaller staff than people really give credit to.
I want to continue because there is one last part of this, the safety guidelines. This is the third bucket of things. And this article says, most important of all, the safety guidelines address the most egregious offenses, encouraging violent extremism, illegal activity, suicide. I can't say suicide on YouTube, suicide, and self-harm
in Minecraft
will result in several penalties, including potential reports to the law enforcement. So Malcolm, there you go, right there. And once again, what specifically do all of these things mean, right? Encouraging these things. Like if somebody in a game was like, hey, go off yourself or something like that, which is said 7,000 times a moment on GTA, are they all going to be reported to law enforcement for saying that? And here's a larger question I have for you guys. In the previous article, in the previous paragraph, he says the number of kids in lobbies terrorizing new players. You can't you're going to report these children to law enforcement.
Yep.
I think that's the plan. I mean, the way totalitarian regimes often work is they implement laws that everyone is going to break so that they can arrest or otherwise silence anyone who they don't like for whatever other reason, because they know that everyone has broken the law at some point.
Yeah.
That's how communist and totalitarian systems often work, and they're just beginning to implement that in our world now.
Yeah, and all it takes is one or two kids made into an example for parents to say, "Uh-oh, little Timmy, little Jane, don't say this, don't do this, think this way." It goes back to, I think, like what Larry Fink was saying about forcing change, and it's kind of creepy how much that extends.
I was curious how many players play GTA Online, right? And this goes back to the Sweet Baby Inc. Detected group that we've talked about. And in every group, no matter how big your community, your fellowship, your whatever it gets, you're going to have some bad actors in them, right? The vast majority of people are going to be pretty cool. And then you have your people who take it a little too far, right? Whether that's in, the SBI group, whether that's in, the other side of it, right? You're looking at the extremes of all this, right? And when you have a GTA Online, which literally has millions of players, the average of GTA throughout the month of February, this month, was over 100,000 players, right? So you have 100,000 players online. Yeah, there's going to be a couple cuckoos in there, and they're going to take things a little too far, right? But the vast majority of people are playing GTA Online because they want to, and it goes back to what I said a couple days ago. Video games are about escapism. They're trying to escape, right? It is fun to go in and do things in GTA that you would never do online or never do in real life. I mean, that's the fun, That's literally why you do it. And you wonder if GTA 6, if this will hurt GTA 6 at all. GTA 5 is like the biggest game ever as far as sales. I mean, maybe not total sales, but it's just over the last 10 years or so since GTA 5 has been released, it's consistently in the top 10 of sales every single month. And it's continuing to grow, but you wonder if this will affect GTA 6 at all. My gut says it probably won't. But I do think that you'll see some of the message implemented into it as well.